It's high noon live on LinkedIn with your host, Nico Steyn. Hello there and welcome back. This is What's Your Story? Now, I have looked everywhere to find a really cool guest because this particular post just happened on Friday and I had some difficulty, so I found somebody particularly interesting. And here goes with a What's Your Story interview. I'd like to welcome Nico Steyn to the studio. Thank you very much. Hello there. Thanks for having me on the show. Thank you for doing it short notice. Tell us what's your story. I think my story would be that I am a scriptwriter and director and producer in film and television, and I help people to get their content together and structure it well in an online space. That's great. How did you fall into this? Look, my background is television. I grew up as a young creative director with Mnet Television in South Africa, and over time moved into movies and commercials at some point. I directed two feature films on actual movies, 90-minute films, 97-minute films, and also produced a lot of television. And I think in recent times, since the advent of COVID and so on, I really discovered that a lot of people were moving into the online space digitally and doing essentially what they used to do in front of a live audience, now in front of a camera, and it wasn't working. And I see a lot of people not really connecting with their audiences. Yeah. And so, a lot of people just thought, when COVID hit, let me just rush out and buy a ring light. And I don't think a ring light makes you more professional in communicating. It's not about lighting or anything of that, but the content first. Absolutely. And that's how I fell into it. I felt that I really wanted to help people to be better. Great. Now, what are the trends that you see in online video at the moment? I think it's an interesting space right now because, as I said, a lot of people are just out there sitting in Zoom meetings, and I think what people misunderstand that I see right now in storytelling is that because something worked when you were in the room for 3 hours at a time coaching, you can't simply transfer that into the online space. Online, people are used to this space that is 16 by 9, which is the screen that you see me in. And even though we're on a Zoom call, the truth is, in that space of seeing things on the screen, viewers are used to the kind of formats that they've seen over time in television and film, and there are specific formats and rules to durations even of how those formats communicate. And so our audiences have been trained, and what I see a lot of people doing online is disregarding those. Online you'll never, or in the movies or on television, you'll never see a 3-hour movie readily. Movies are 120 minutes. Dramas and series are 48 minutes for a reason. It's not an hour. A TV hour is actually 48 minutes. A TV half an hour is actually 21 or 24 minutes. Think about formats such as sitcoms and soaps. Yeah. There's a very concise way that online or that television communicates stuff. It's very compact and it rolls out in a very specific format. And I think our audiences are used to that because television and films have been around for 100 years, right? So, yeah, and I think that what I'm seeing is people not appreciating that and not bringing that into context when they are now producing their own content online in a Zoom format or Teams or whatever you may be using. Gotcha. Tell me, what do you think is the future of this space? Where is it going? Look, I think in the next 2 or 3 years, there's going to be even more cannon fodder than what you see at the moment, because everybody's rushing out with a ring light and a Zoom call and recording stuff. And I think you're going to see a lot of that perpetuate even more over the next 2 or 3 years before people are going to be saturated and start deciding to be a little bit more discerning about what they're going to see, about how they're going to make calls, whether video is right, is it well produced, is the lighting good, is the sound good, and most importantly, is somebody really making a connection with me, and is somebody really talking to me? Because I think that is ultimately going to become much more important, to have fewer messages on air, fewer videos, but of higher quality, And I don't only mean HD or 4K quality. I mean quality in terms of the material that we are sharing with our audiences online. I think people need to learn in the future to be more appreciative of our audiences and saying, thank you for being out there. We appreciate it. And because of that, we don't want to waste your time. Let's get to the points. Maybe that's the future.
That's fantastic. Do you have some parting tips for us on engagement?
Look, I think some hints and tips would really be to really work concisely, to work with a very clear message, and to think before you speak, or even before you switch on your Zoom call, even before you begin to record. Think very clearly about the 3 or 4 points that you need to get across. And remember, in most cases, maybe one thing is going to land for the audience. So what is the most important thing? Prioritize your message and get that out first, and don't repeat yourself.
Excellent. That's great advice. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks very much. It was fun. We should do it again.
Absolutely, we'll do it again. And that was my guest, Nico Steyn. It happened on short notice, and well, there it is. I hope that there was some value. I wanted to say thanks to Steyn. I had a note that he said that he needed to be out of into a meeting, but of course we are going to have a replay of this available, so look out for that if you need to step away. Coming up next in the show, we're going to have the glossary, and we're going to deal a little bit with ideas around storytelling and how to get more impact.